Trevor, the question on everyone's mind with this new documentary premiering this week, who killed WCW? I asked you that. What is your answer? Point blank.
Like I said before, it was a collection of people. It wasn't just one person. It was a collection of people. From who's Vince Renzo? Vince Russo.
Sister.
from, from Vince Russo all the way down to Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff, plenty of people. I mean, the truth of the matter is, a lot of the wrestlers start going into business for themselves. Hulk Hogan, mostly. Um, like it was just one of those things. It just got so uninteresting. Like it's no way should a pay-per-view feature should a feature match be Disco Inferno, like, at all. So, like, it got really bad. It really bad really fast. And I mean, a lot of people will say Vince Russo was pretty much the catalyst of it, and I honestly believe it was more him than not, but I don't think he takes the blame by himself.
I fully agree. I think it's weird because you know how I feel about Vince Russo, but I agree with you in that it was a collection of efforts. It was not just one person. Because
No,
if one person was able to do that much damage, God help us all. But in all seriousness, I actually
right.
I actually blame Vince Russo less than most people who were involved in WCW. He had a lot to do with it. Don't get me wrong, he had a lot to do with it. But like the failure of WCW, like the writing was on the wall by the time Russo got there, if we're being honest. Because he got there like
Yeah, true.
late 99, like, and was really in charge a lot through 2000. And by that time, the level with which WCW fell was insane. Because even up until like Starrcade 98, it had gone down from where it was in 96 and 97 for sure. But it wasn't at the point where like it was like unwatchable, where it was still an
Right.
interesting show. Starcade to 1998 was like a bit of a turning point for me. Everyone points to the finger poke of doom because that's like the big flashy, like, oh my god, oh, they ruined wrestling. You dumb mother trucker, goddamn extra cheese, damn blood, whatever. Everyone points to that, but really, like the way that they ended that Goldberg run was disgraceful. Not only to Bill Goldberg, who, look, I have criticisms of Goldberg as well, but like disrespectful to him and what he was building and what they were building into their biggest star, but also disrespectful to wrestling fans. Because this entire streak that you built up, this entire momentum you had built up over the last few years, wasted because of a freaking cattle prod.
Yep.
It was emblematic of everything that would go wrong over the next 2 years and why that company went out of business. Eric Bischoff was responsible for it. Obviously, Kevin Nash and yeah, a lot of people who had those guaranteed contracts and creative control were responsible for it. The network, which the interesting thing about this documentary is we are going to hear from the first time from Ted Turner's son. We're going to hear from network executives who were involved in the decision to pull Nitro from TV. Because remember, Nitro was still like one of their hottest performing shows. Like, they
It
still
was.
pulled
Yeah.
it. That's how bad the show was. They pulled it because they didn't want to be associated with that crap. It was doing great ratings. They were just like, nope. It is going to be interesting, I should say, to hear what they say. But anyone out there who wants to point to Bischoff, who wants to point to Russo, who wants to point to Hogan, it was everyone. It was every single person involved with that company that led to that company failing. And it shouldn't have. WCW should still be in business today, but they are not because of the incompetence and egos of some of the most carny MFers to exist in the world of professional wrestling.
You said it better than anyone else could, my man. Like, it literally, like, that is it. That's what happened. Like, you started first off, ego started getting to play a part. Then like also like wrestlers who thought they were hot shit, so to speak, started playing a part. Like which they thought they could do whatever they wanted. Like the cattle prod was a big deal. It was a big fall. Like I mean, again, also another big thing, like Bill Goldberg or not, but the man was a botch artist even back then. He was too stiff with some of the wrestlers. Like a lot of wrestlers complained about working with him. Um, I mean, he literally proved that he couldn't truly wrestle. He came out there. His matches weren't supposed to go past 5 minutes. Like that was it. That was. I mean, if you heard him talk on the Stone Cold show, that's true. That I mean, they never expected him to be more than what Bill Goldberg actually was, but it didn't help with a lot of the gimmicks and things they used. They could have had a great match between him and Bam Bam Bigelow. Didn't exist. You had talent like Bam Bam Bigelow, and you still went under. Like it's a shame. Like you said, WCW used to be around today, and if it wasn't for the people writing, the people running it, the people wrestling for it, like it was a combination of everybody that had something to do with WCW that caused WCW to quote unquote die.
Yeah. And it didn't help that WWE at that time was at their most profitable at that point and their
Yep.
most popular at that point.
Yeah, WWE was kicking their ass hand and foot at that point. Like it was like they really were winning at that point. I mean, and the thing was, WCW had them on the ropes. WCW had them where they wanted them. They just couldn't land a kill shot. They couldn't land a kill shot because if things worked differently, we could be talking about the death of WWE. Like I mean, you don't know. You really don't know because at that time you had the outsiders, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall. You were building that whole thing up. You were making Sting what he is today. You were like getting Lex Luger off TV. I mean, because why not? Fuck him. Um,
Jesus.
you were dealing with other things. Like I mean, and it was good TV. Like honestly, who didn't enjoy hearing? Oh, tonight wrestling is Eddie Guerrero versus Juventud Guerrero. Like those were some of the
Eric
best
Bischoff,
matches.
that's who. He didn't
It's
like
what those.
it. He
I know he
posted
didn't like it, but who cares about him? But those are some of the best matches. Like that cruiserweight division was amazing,
Yeah.
and it's part of what kept them on TV.
Yeah, I mean, and like the thing is, I think the other thing is they relied so much, like from a booking, like if you like, there's obviously more than one booking decision that led to the downfall of WCW. As with anything, you want to point to something that played a critical role was their over reliance on the NWO.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You want to talk about running things into the ground? Vince McMahon in 2019 wishes he could run things into the ground as badly as WCW ran the NWO into the ground. That is the I've never seen, like, you know the old saying, Trevor, go out on top, go out while you're at your most popular.
Yeah,
That was the thinking of breaking up the Shield because
absolutely.
that was like, I mean, it's still like to this day one of the perfect breakup angles because it's still impacting wrestling today. They went out on the night after their biggest achievement. They could not do anything more as a trio. And they broke it up, broke our hearts, and made three massive industry-changing stars in the process.
Absolutely, absolutely.
How many stars were made out of the NWO who weren't already stars to begin with?
I was about to say the biggest thing with the NWO, a lot of the stars that were quote unquote made were already stars. Like, I mean, let's we talk about them. We've said it before.
Don't.
Let's just be honest. Buff Bagwell was Buff Bagwell. Love him or hate him, he was Pro Wrestling Magazine's top Rookie of the Year 2 times in a row. The man could wrestle. He literally he could wrestle. They put him in what four different tag teams, and he shined in both of them. The thing that messed up both Bagwell, besides drugs, was I mean underexposure. Like you have like 20 dudes in one ring, all wearing the same T-shirt, screaming, "Oh, NWO brother!" And then you have one racist idiot sitting there with a mic talking about, "Let me tell you something." But like, what are you focusing on at this point?
For 20-minute segments per show. Hogan was
Right.
be like, "Oh, brother, I'm gonna go out there, brother. I'm gonna brother. Horace Hogan, my brother's son, brother."
Like you literally heard from other members of the NWO for 5 seconds. Then none of them were allowed to touch the mic. They, like Hogan was the only one allowed to make an ass of himself for 3 segments of 20-minute segments.
What you
Like,
mean? What you mean? Bischoff got his got the mic a few times. He got his Harley time in, you know.
I mean, of course, he helped start it. Like the company was his. I mean, you literally had Scott Norton. Scott Norton, one of the biggest stars in New Japan, one of the biggest most underrated stars in wrestling in general, and you used him how much? He didn't have a major title when he was in the NWO. He did nothing. And Virgil was to help what? What was Virgil doing?
You want the truth? You want the cold hard truth of what Virgil was? That
the
man,
token black guy.
That man was there. That man was just there to be a jobber because they needed jobbers to work up to Hogan. That's it.
Dude, that's it. That's all he was. And then you have Brutus the Barber, I mean, disciple, who no one knew who he was.
Bro, look, the magic of steroids, honestly. Like,
dude,
you want to talk about steroids were built different in 1998. By the way, Bruce the Barber Beefcake was looking. It was crazy.
Dude, no one knew who that man was. No one. I didn't believe it was Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Bro, that's crazy, man. How else do you think Barry Bonds hitting all those home runs, man? The 90s steroids don't compete with the 2000 steroids.
I mean, it was bad. It was really bad.